Hi, this is the final part of our 4-part video series on the GRE at home. In this video, I will talk about how taking the test at home compares with taking the test at the test center. I will also talk about how taking the test at home impacted my score. So back in October 2016, when I was applying for my master's program, I took the GRE for the first time after 3 months of preparation and scored 338 with 170 on the quantitative section, 168 on the verbal section, and 4 out of 6 on the essay writing. The overall process was very smooth. I just had to show up at the test center, I had to show my ID, had to wait a little, and then I was led into the test room, and 4.5 hours later I was done with the test. Fast forward to May 2020. By now I am done with my master's degree and have also been teaching the GRE for more than 3 years. The world has recently been hit by a global pandemic, and ETS has decided to allow taking the test from home but under certain predefined conditions. There's a lot of uncertainty about these conditions, and many of my students ask me if they should go for the test at home option or if they should wait for the test centers to reopen. To have a better idea of what GRE from home looks like, I decided to try it out on my own. So I took the GRE at home on the 10th of May and scored 333 with a score of 168 on the quantitative section, 165 on the verbal, and 5.5 on the essay writing. And here's how my test from home experience compared with my test at center experience from October 2016. The first major difference is in the overall duration of the process. While the test at center may take more time overall because of the commute and because of the pre-test wait, the time that you have to continuously sit on the testing seat is significantly lower. By contrast, when you are taking the test at home, you have to sit an hour longer because of the pre-test formalities. This additional hour right at the start of the test can make all the difference. Not only are the pre-test formalities a bit frustrating, they also exhaust some of the energy that you vitally need for the 4.5 hours of test time ahead. The second thing is noise, distraction, and the overall comfort level. When you're taking the test at the center, you don't have to worry about noise. The testing room is noise-free, and any distraction that you might experience because of other test takers can be easily eliminated by using the noise-cancelling headphones that are available at the center. In contrast, when you are taking the test at home, it is your responsibility to ensure that no noise from outside enters the testing room. Similarly, the center maintains comfortable and conducive testing conditions, with proper air conditioning, for instance. The same cannot be guaranteed for testing at home. In my case, for example, the room that I was taking the test in was not air conditioned, and unfortunately the weather was really hot on the test day. That certainly affected how I performed on the test day. This brings us to the difference in the overall difficulty levels of the two tests and whether testing from home has any impact on your score. Now, the test at home is not different per se from the test at center in terms of the overall difficulty level of the test. However, the additional requirements of the test at home, the ones for note-taking for example, make testing at home a bit harder and may reduce the score that you might get at the test center. As I've already mentioned in a previous video, the fact that you have to take notes on an erasable whiteboard or a laminated paper instead of a bundle of scratch paper easily takes away a minute or two from each of your sections, especially the quantitative section where you have to do a lot of rough work. This lost time can make a lot of difference since your score in the quantitative section drops more rapidly with every question that you get wrong. Similarly, the variable environmental conditions such as air conditioning or lack thereof, noise levels, how comfortable is the seat on which you're taking the test, all of these things can affect your performance and your scores. In my case, as I've already mentioned, lack of air conditioning and hot weather combined with the fact that I was fasting because of Ramadan really slowed me down, and I ended up scoring much less than I was consistently scoring on the practice tests. For example, my verbal scores in the 4 practice tests that I gave were 166, 168, 170 and 170. So I was actually scoring a perfect verbal score in my final mock exams. But in the actual test, I ended up dropping 5 points on the verbal. By contrast, when I took the test at the center in 2016, I actually scored significantly higher than what I was scoring in my practice tests. If I look at the difficulty of the questions themselves, I think this seemed a little harder than the questions in the practice tests. In the verbal sections, it might have been so because some of the passages belong to areas of knowledge that I do not have much knowledge about, and naturally lack an understanding of the basic jargon and terminology of those fields. Now, you do not need to know field-specific terminology or have field-specific background knowledge to answer reading comprehension questions on the GRE. Knowing some terminology or having some understanding does help you process and comprehend the passages faster. So it might be a good idea to read articles from unfamiliar fields during your preparation stage and acquire some basic understanding of those fields using a dictionary or using Google, etc. It might be that music throws you off, or it might be biology. Identify areas of knowledge that you are uncomfortable with and build some basic knowledge of them. Some of the vocabulary that appeared in the text completion and sentence equivalence questions was also totally new to me, despite the fact that I had gone through more than 1,000 words from some of the popular GRE word lists out there. In the quantitative section, I feel like not having a numeric keypad on my laptop's keyboard really slowed me down in the use of the calculator. You should minimize the use of the calculator on the GRE and check your natural tendency to try to verify all your answers. But if at all you have to use the calculator, do that using the numeric keypad instead of using it through your mouse, because using a numeric keypad is much faster than using the mouse. Otherwise, I did not find the quantitative section much different from what I was already expecting it to be. Another thing in which the test at home is different from the test at center is the allowance of eatables during the test. So when you're taking the test at home, the proctor usually allows you to have eatables on your test table. However, when you're taking the test at the center, you're not allowed to take any eatables into the test room. You can have the eatables in the refrigerator outside the test room, and you can have snacks or water during the 10 minutes break in the middle of the test, but you cannot eat during the test. Now, the ETS website says that you cannot have eatables even during the test at home, but the proctor usually allows you to have eatables during the test. I actually broke my fast at sunset during the test when my final section was still going on. Some test takers who are too conscious of the fact that the proctor is watching you directly during the test kind of become nervous, but you do not have to be conscious of the fact that the proctor is observing you or monitoring you. You cannot see them anyways, so you don't have to worry about that. And this is different from the test at center where you just go to your cabin in the test room and you do not have to face a proctor or an invigilator in front of you. One last point is related to headgear. So the ETS website categorically prohibits the wearing of non-religious headgear during the test. However, if you wear religious headgear such as hijab, you can email ProctorU and ask them whether that is allowed, or you can ask the proctor before the start of the test. One final piece of advice that I would like to share with you all is that whenever you're taking a practice test, try to replicate the conditions of the actual test. That way you'll be better prepared for the test, whether you're taking it at home or you're taking it at the center. I found the test at home to be a little bit more inconvenient and exhausting than the test at the center. However, if you're taking the test from home, you do not have to worry a lot. If you're preparing yourself well for the test at home through creating the actual test conditions in your practice tests, I think you're good to go. I wish all test takers the best of luck with their GRE. If you have any questions or comments about this video, feel free to comment in the comments section below. If you found this video useful, please like and share it with your friends. For more videos on GRE and grad admissions, subscribe to our channel now and press the bell button to get notified about our new videos. Thanks for watching.